Hey, what's going on, everybody? Massive Arn Live. Saturday here in Ohio, lovely, dreary Ohio. I think last time I did a live video, it was the first time I did a live video where it wasn't raining or snowing or cloudy. And I think that broke my spell, but we are back at it today. It's 34 degrees outside, raining like crazy, about to turn to ice, about to turn into snowmageddon. And yeah, definitely gloomy. So I got my coffee. We're ready to go for this weekend. Didn't have a live video last weekend. I apologize for that. Had my first power building seminar here in Ohio, and that was a 2-day event. So I didn't have time to do a live video, but normally I'm here every weekend at 10 a.m. On Saturdays. And I'll be back next weekend, every weekend after that at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. So join me. I'm a little late today because we were trying to get to the store just in case we had snowmageddon or whatever you want to call it. So how's everybody doing today? I'm going to be working on my next book. It's a full body course, and I'd like your guys' feedback. So if you could drop a comment down below, any information you would like to see in a book about full body workouts, drop it down below. I want it to be as comprehensive as possible. So if there's a certain style of full body or a certain question you want to see in the book, please drop it in. What's going on, Winter? What's going on, Tom, Joseph, John? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the madness. I have my coffee here and a frog in my throat. It's freezing outside. It's freezing in here, and still trying to wake up. What's going on, Alexander? How'd it go, Alexander? Alexander is one of my clients, and we are turning him into a beast. He's been very consistent, struggling with a wrist injury right now, so hope he's better. What's going on, Ben? Yeah, winter storm warning. We want to get out and do some walking today. I'm kind of hoping the temperature drops and it gets snowy so we can just go out and get walking in the snow. What's going on, Matthew? That's my first caffeine molecule of the day, so we need to get that in the system so we don't die. Don't get that. What's going on, Ken? What's going on, Tom Cooper? How's everybody doing this morning? Again, I'm going to be working on a full body book or a course, and I have a bunch of courses I'm trying to churn out this year. I did a bench press course. You can find that over at superlivingtoday.com. That's got a bunch of workouts. A full body one's going to be interesting because I'm going to dive into different styles of full bodies and give you guys tons of programming options. So I'm going to be working on that today after the live video, after I talk to some of my clients. But I'll be on usually for about an hour, guys. And drop your questions in. If I miss your question, you can head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, and you can send me a DM, send me the question DM over there, and I respond to every question. Excuse me, I almost knocked my phone over. Ben on Adventure says, thanks for the help this week on answering my question about programming. Much appreciated. Absolutely. Glad to help. We're trying to get back in the groove here. It's been a crazy month. We seem to always have something scheduled. So we worked out a couple times the past week. What's up, Julio? We worked out a couple times this past week. We only got in a chest and bench, chest and back workout. And we really need to get back in the rhythm. We're thinking about just doing a push-pull legs until we can get a reasonable schedule, a schedule where we can stick to it for a while. Something always seems to come up. We had the power building schedule, or power building seminar last week. What's going on, Marlon? I'll be here about an hour, so I'll be taking you guys' questions. All right. First question of the day is from Angel Badillo. If I pronounce that incorrectly, don't hate me. Or Angel Badillo, but I'm not that crazy. How should I combine lifting and martial arts? I'm using Mark's Big Five, and I train 6 days a week. That's a very good question. With martial arts, it depends on what your primary focus is. If your primary focus is building muscle and strength, and martial arts is just something you're doing as a secondary thing, you really need to focus on the gym workouts. And you need to, if you're at a 5-day-a-week program, you need to give it your all on that 5-day-a-week program. Now, if your main focus is martial arts, you probably need to consider dialing down how many times you're working out a week so you can get into recovery and get in the proper and be fully covered for your fully recovered for your martial arts sessions. So I would probably recommend training maybe 3 days a week if you're going hardcore with martial arts. And there's many ways to do that. You can alternate upper A, upper B, lower B, rotate that 3 times a week. You can do a full body workout. You can do a push pull legs, but again, it depends on what your focus is. So recovery is the main thing, and what your goal is very important. So if it's to maximize your martial arts, you really need to think about maybe training less. Tom says, I'm back to doing body part splits. As long as I start off legs with the squat and back day with deadlifts, I feel it's okay. Thoughts? Absolutely. In the long run, you're going to be fine as long as you get a lot stronger than you are now and use progressive overload and that sort of thing. So all the hype about different styles of training, in the long run, it's not going to matter. It really doesn't matter in the long run over the course of 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, the advantage is somebody tries to give one style of lifting over another. In the long run, it's not going to matter. We're all lifting for 10, 20, 30 years, right? If you do things properly and you build a lot of strength, you're going to pack on all the muscle, all the strength you can, no matter what type of program you're going to use. That's the reality. All the dogma and BS aside. John Nordgaard, any advice on how to adjust your workouts for fasting and keto? You don't really need to adjust your workouts for anything, for any style of diet. If your diet, look, when you transition to a keto style diet or an intermittent fasting style diet, it will take you some time to adjust. That's something you need to just be okay with. When I ran fasting and fasting variations for a number of years, and it took me a while to adjust. But really, when it comes to your workouts, while you're in that adjustment period, your workouts, you just need to listen to your body. If you feel super weak, if you feel super lightheaded, if you feel super foggy, just be careful. Just be careful and listen to your body. Don't do anything unsafe. Don't do anything that's going to abuse your body. That's really the best advice I can give you. And I hope that helps some. Jackson, I was dumbbell incline benching and a man in the gym came up. He said that I was going too low and could tear my AC joint. I was keeping the dumbbells to the side and didn't flare my elbows. Thoughts? When it comes to incline benching, I recommend that you don't go super low. The further back your elbows go in a press, generally the more stress you're placing on your shoulders. Now, with a bench, it's a little bit easier getting it to your chest. When you do an incline, you actually have to pull the elbows back a little bit further, and it puts a little bit more stress on the shoulders. So for most people, and we're all different, we all have different body structures and different, arm lengths and limb lengths and that sort of thing. So there's not one rule for everybody. But for most people, it's a good idea to hang your inclines a little bit higher than your chest. That's safe, and you're not going to lose gains. You're not going to lose chest gains and all that kind of good stuff. So in general, it's probably good advice. Infinite Edge Intensity is in the house. You need to check out his channel and subscribe to his channel if you do not. What should I eat when I have a sinus infection? You should eat beer. If you have a sinus infection, you should probably eat beer and probably abstain from smoking cigars for a while. McGriddles are a good option. They're a nice comfort food when you have a sinus infection. It's the MC Adams. What do you think of the decline bench as your main chest exercise? Well, there's no one-size-fits-all answer to that question. The decline can be like a redheaded stepchild of the lifting world, but it's a compound movement. It tends to be more triceps-centric, so it tends to place more emphasis on the triceps. I'd prefer for a main lift for your chest that you're doing a flat bench or a slight incline or a dumbbell variation. But when you're using the decline, just make sure that you have your form down, that your setup is proper. Most people bench like crap as it is, so just make sure that you understand bench form If that's the only lift you want to run as a main compound movement for chest, just go ahead. I would suggest though that you alternate week in and week out. This is something I did for quite a long time. You might do decline bench press one week, and then as your main lift the second week, like flat bench dumbbell bench presses or something like that. So I would recommend alternating. Just consider that as a possible option. Been on an adventure. Which TRX do you have? Or is it an off-brand? The TRX unit I have right over on the door is just a Genki Walmart one, to be honest with you. When we bought it, we didn't know if we were even going to use it. You know, I was putting in this home gym, or this business gym, excuse me, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to use it. So I just bought a Genki Walmart one, and it works fine. I'm not sure if it's going to work in the long run. You know, I want something a little bit more secure on the door, but yeah, I didn't invest a lot of money. I generally don't invest a lot of money in fitness equipment until I can figure out if it's valuable to me, and then I'll upgrade. Dennis says, I need a workout, please. Dennis, I can do a workout assessment. Head over to my website, Super Living Today. I can do a workout assessment and get you a workout. There's a workout assessment service. Or if you want to buy my book, Massive Iron, over at Super Living Today, that has like 20 different workout plans. It'll equip you to maximize really any workout system. I also have the Power Muscle Block system over there, which is a really good power building system. And you can check that out. That is only $7.99. So I'm not robbing your pocket. It's a solid workout. Marlon Fuentes, L-carnitine before or after exercise with food. I am not an L-carnitine expert. I will not lie. I've put in my fair share of work editing articles on L-carnitine, but look, it's not a main staple for most people as far as supplements go. I don't know. I can't recall off the top of my head any specific recommendations for timing for that supplement. So it's something I would have to research. You can either go over to tigerfitness.com and research L-carnitine, or send me a message on Instagram at Ben the Barman. I'll take a look. So Alejandro Sanchez is worrying about low bar versus high bar squat, majoring in the minors. That's not really the question so much as is it the best option for your body type? And how do you know if low bar or high bar is the best option for you? A lot of times that comes from dealing with somebody more experienced that knows how to help you with squat setup. At the seminar I did last weekend, I took 5 or 6 people and I just got them under the bar, and we had to make adjustments. We had to widen their foot position a little bit. Some of them might do high bar, some of them might do low bar. So at the end of the day, it's going to depend on how you feel. You can send me a squat video over at Instagram at Ben the Barman. I'd be glad to take a look and maybe give you a little bit of guidance. Hurricane, shoulder pain from lateral raises. Very common thing. One thing I recommend, like with a lateral raise, make sure your arm or your elbow is not locked. I try to have a little bit of a break, and then I try to give a little bit of a momentum on there, just a little bit of a dip in the knee, and some momentum upwards. Excuse me. But one thing I do is I created a variation, or I use a variation that I coined the bulldozer lateral. And you can search on this channel, or you can search YouTube for bulldozer lateral. It's a single arm lateral raise. It allows you to get a little bit more leverage, a little bit more explosiveness. And because of the leverage advantage, it's more shoulder friendly. Some people don't like it because it's an explosive movement. They feel threatened by the addition of explosiveness to an isolation type of movement, and they think it robs gains. It actually allows you to use more weight, and it's more friendly on the shoulder. So give that a try. It's called the bulldozer lateral. Let's see. MC Adams, what do you think of deficit low handle trap bar deadlifts over back squatting? You have lordosis, so I have some unneeded lower back pain. I'm not trying to train around it. If you're trying to build, it depends on your goals. If you're trying to build big quads, that is an okay exercise. But you really need to think about volume leg presses. You probably need to think about volume body weight lunges. You probably need to think about volume body weight squats, volume leg extensions. If you take those 4 exercises and put in a reasonable volume, and then you started off your workout with that exercise, you'd be absolutely fine. And that's assuming that your main goal is leg size. Eduardo, what's going on, Eddie? Would you recommend? What would you recommend as a good warm-up regimen for full body workouts? When you're thinking about a warm-up is a warm-up. A warm-up is you're trying to warm up certain things. You're trying to bring your body temperature up so you're not cold. You're trying to loosen up some of the fascia that might be stiff or sore or just kind of locked in place from a crappy day at work or whatever you're doing. And you're also trying to stimulate your central nervous system. And that's a key ingredient in a warm-up. So before you hit your first warm-up set on an exercise, you want to make sure your body temperature is up and you want to make sure you feel kind of loose. Now, when we feel stiff, it's generally not the muscle. And this is going to be shocking to some of you, but it's the fascia, the connective tissue in and around a muscle. So those are the main 2 things you want to think about before you hit a barbell or dumbbell is bringing your body temperature up, maybe 5 minutes of low intensity walking on a treadmill just to get your body temperature up, and maybe something to deal with the stiffness or soreness, and that could be, a little bit of foam rolling or something like that. So hope that helps. Azrael Purge, I probably pronounced that incorrectly. Ultimately, as long as I meet my calorie needs, intermittent fasting helps my irritable bowel syndrome, but doesn't mess with my gains over time. This is my personal experience, and I am not saying this is the case for anybody, but I believe that if your primary goal is muscle building, now if you're somebody that's already built a lot of muscle, then you're probably not going to lose it with intermittent fasting. But I believe that it is probably best for most people, just because sometimes we want to eat in the morning. It's probably best to do 500 calories in the morning of protein-centric foods, and then save the majority of your calories for the evening. Now, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, it could just be a couple hundred calories of protein. I recommend adding that. Okay. When I was on strict intermittent fasting, I found that I lost some muscle. Now, I'm not proclaiming that this will be the case for everybody. That was the case for me. And when I added in protein in the morning, 200, 300, 400 calories of protein-centric foods, my muscle started to return. That was my experience. So mileage may vary. Let me get some coffee here. If I miss you guys' questions, just head over to my Instagram at Ben the Barman. Let's see, it's Hydrick. Would you think it's possible to increase my bench to 400 pounds and squat dead to 700 in the next 17 months? My maxes are 335, 550 squat, and 550 dead. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. Because that's some rapid progress. You're talking about adding 100 pounds on your squat and deadlift, over 100 pounds a year as a late intermediate lifter. Progress at that level on bench press is probably going to be 5 to 10 pounds a year. Progress on squats and deadlifts might be 10, 20, or even 30 pounds a year. So it's possible, but it's highly unlikely. Some people can do it, but they're generally the freaks or the outliers of powerlifting. You certainly should have a reasonable program that can set you up to try to achieve that, but you also need to understand that at the level you're at, you need to train smart, not just hard. So you want to try programming that is going to help you increase your lifts, but you also need to understand that if they're not increasing at the rate you want them to, you're not doing anything wrong. All right, let's move on. Hope that helps some. Azrael, thank you. He says, thank you. You're welcome. Hydrick says, naturally. Let's see. Anamosh, good morning. What's going on? Hyper alarm. Steve, what is the best way to determine a rep goal for an exercise? That is a very good question. Now, you have to kind of analyze the nature of a specific exercise. Compound movements, you kind of ask yourself, what is the rep range that feels best for compound movements in general? 5 to 12, something like that. So you add up those two. 5 plus 12 is 17. You get about 8.5, multiply that by 3, and you get about 20, 25. So 20 to 25 is a pretty good range, depending on where you want to be for compound movements, usually 25, sometimes 20. Now, for machine and more isolation type of exercises, 10 to 12 rep ranges are generally the standard. So 10 to 12 multiplied by 3 is 30 to 35, if that makes sense. So that's kind of how I do it. I mean, you're not going to go on cable tricep extensions and just try for 5 rep sets. That's too heavy. It's probably going to beat up your elbows. So just be reasonable. At the end of the day, you want to start with something that sounds reasonable, and don't be afraid to adjust it based on your personal experience in the gym. You can, we have a tendency to increase or decrease things by measures of 5 or increments of 5, but you do not need to do so. You can increase or decrease them by increments of 1 or 2 or whatever. I hope that helps. Scott, again, thank you for your time. Stay safe. Thank you, Scott, and have a wonderful weekend. Tom, thoughts on the importance of drip sets? I assume you're saying drop sets and supersets for stimulating better burns or growth. Are they needed? No. Do I think finishers are a good idea? Yes. A drop set or a superset is simply a tool. It's not magic. A lot of it comes down to personal preference. There's many times where I do drop sets. There are many times when I do supersets. Do I typically program them? Not always. Like right now, I'm doing supersets on chest day. I'm trying to get my bench press up to 225 by 5 by 20. So 5 sets of 20 at 225. But I'm also supersetting my bench with push-ups. So I'm doing it just for fun. Is there a rhyme or reason? No, I'm just doing it as a challenge. So are they required? No. Can you do them? Yes. Generally the best time to do that sort of thing is on the last set of a compound movement or at the end of a workout as a finisher. And if it helps with a muscle pump, there is some research that shows that muscle pumps assist or may be beneficial to the muscle building process. So certainly something to try at the end of your workout. Matthew, thoughts on using straps? Are they okay to use when going heavy? I have many videos on this channel, Matthew, about straps. Just search massive iron lifting straps. You need to use them on back day. It'll help stave off elbow tendonitis. And on back day, you're not trying to train your grip, you're trying to train your back. And I always tell folks, if your grip is weak, train it after your back training. You don't want to let a minor muscle group like your grip, minor muscles, hinder the development of your back. That is backwards. So check out the videos I've done on this channel. All you need to do is, there's a search feature on each channel, and you just search lifting straps. I guarantee I got 3, 4, 5 videos on that very topic. Ben on Adventures, thoughts on intuitive versus tracking for fat loss. Intuitive versus tracking. The more precise you get, the more precise your results are going to be. As somebody that works with coaching folks that are tracking calories, I can tell you that it's very difficult to eat intuitively unless you are eating very strict. It can be done. I did it myself. I lost 100 pounds without counting calories. So I'm not saying it can't be done, but you need to really be pretty much super strict on your food choices for that to work. And sometimes it helps to eat the majority of your calories in the evening. So modified type of fasting diet, not strict fasting, but maybe, eat somewhere around 500 to 700 calories, or maybe 1,000 max during the day, and then eat intuitively after dinner. But there are safeguards you can put in, or fail safes to put in to make that work. But it's got to be super clean. You got to be reasonable. If you break from the clean eating and eat one piece of pizza, over the long run, if the average person just ate clean foods, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, meat, healthy fat sources, nuts, things like that. And they were reasonable, like they weren't eating a bag of nuts every single day. And when they did break from this eating, they would have just a bite of cheesecake or, a piece of pizza. They'd probably lose weight and get to their goal weight without even trying over the long run. But they have to have super tight focus. And quite frankly, most people do not. Tom says bulldozer lateral is nice. I was using it, using 40s, and it recruits more muscles. I think so as well. Julio Cesares, sorry. Steve, doing your full body 3-day beginner program, will high volume shoulder work stall my bench press progress? No. If anything, it'll help your bench press. Most people don't train their shoulders hard enough. They don't train their shoulders to the degree they need to build up good shoulder strength. And that will help with your bench press. It might take some time for your body to adapt to the demands of adding in more shoulder work. So be patient, but in the long run, it'll definitely pay off. Let's see. Michael, I just got a yoke. Not sure where to plug this into my routine. I know it's very taxing on the central nervous system. Loaded carry, I would probably, I don't know what type of programming you're using, but it's probably a good idea to do it after squats or deadlift on a day when you're working the posterior chain. That's my opinion, but I'm no expert on that. Flea Market Fitness. Each body part twice a week. Yep. Many programs like that. In fact, most of my clients alternate between an upper, lower, or an AB type of split. So that's a great way to train. Should we train neck? I just think it's a waste of time. I really do. I've never trained my neck in my life. I have a big fat neck. If you're just training everything, just training for strength, your neck's probably going to get bigger. If you have a pencil neck, you're probably just small in general and need to gain weight in general. So I'm not, saying that to offend anybody, but that's probably the reality. You don't need to train neck. Just do your shrugs and get your shoulders strong. Bodhi Rana, are wide grip push-ups all right? If yes, how wide should I keep my hands? Are they all right? They can be all right. It's going to depend on the individual and how it feels on the body. Wide grip, I really don't see a lot of value in them. I don't like the natural position for a push-up is going to be right about here. Now you can move your hands in and do a closer grip push-up, but if you move them in here, you can see you got that outside, that elbow rotation that's going to place more strain on the shoulders. Now it's a push-up. So it's probably not going to be a big deal because it's not a high intensity compound movement with the internal or with the rotation like that, but you're talking wide grip. So wide grip, you're going to have the other type of rotation right there. And that can place some extra stress on the shoulders as well. But again, it's a body weight exercise. If you're not overdoing them, they're probably fine. So if you like doing them, if you like doing them, do them. Just listen to your body. Let's see. James Douglas Morrison. I work out at home. I only have access to barbell squats and lunges and variations. Will that suffice? I'm assuming you're talking about legs. If you work out at home, and hey, this is my home gym. It's a business gym. What do I do for legs? You can do a lot of things for legs. You can do squats with a barbell. You can do goblet squats. You can do lunges. You can do body weight squats. You can superset squats with body weight squats. You can superset squats with body weight lunges. You can superset squats for box jumps. There's a lot of things you can do at home. You just need to get creative. So absolutely. You can do a lot of work with minimal equipment. It just requires you to be smart. Flea Market Fitness. Overhead press, dumbbell curls, bent over dumbbell rows, dumbbell squats. Not really sure what that was in response to, so sorry. Ben on Adventures. I was thinking of using daily weigh-ins to stay accountable. That can help. I mean, certainly, if you want to try intuitive eating, you need to have some sort of structure or game plan. But it depends on your goals. I mean, if you're not obese, if you're normal weight or around normal weight, then it's pretty easy to do. I mean, but if you're overweight, there are other factors to consider, and I don't think you're overweight, Ben. I recall seeing your pictures. I know you're. I've seen you around here a lot, so I don't recall that you're overweight. But for anybody that's overweight and wants to use intuitive eating, not specifically for Ben, you need to think about your health as well, because the issue with being obese or overweight isn't just about looking better. You need to take care of your health. You need to get your weight down, and the best way to do that is with structure. Somebody that is overweight generally has issues with food that they're trying to work with. They're trying to get rid of old bad habits and work in new good habits, and that requires some discipline. So I would recommend more structure for that type of person. Let's see, Death T. I have dumbbells, but I don't have a bench. Any tips on what to do for the chest? Get on the floor. I got a mat, okay? I got matting all over here on the gym floor. You can just buy a yoga mat, if you don't want to get your shirt dirty or whatever, wherever you're at. I don't know where you lift. But you can do floor dumbbell benches, and you can do like, do 5 sets of 10, or do a set of 10 and superset it with push-ups. So you can do a lot of work with just dumbbells for the chest. That's what I would do. What's going on, Jeff from New Jersey? Let me get some caffeine. We are halfway through a live video. Just a reminder that I'm here every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. If I miss your question, you can head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman and just send me a DM. I'd be happy to answer your question. If you have any questions, you need help with form, diet, workout, I do all those services, and they are relatively inexpensive. So if you need assistance with an exercise, is my form good? If you want to know if your diet's good, how to refine your diet for your goals, how to refine your workout, or if you need full-blown coaching, just send me a message. I'd be glad to help. Kenneth, do you think high rep work is necessary when it comes to deadlifting? No. Generally, there's two ways to approach a deadlift. If you're above 70% intensity, let's say you're above 75% intensity, you don't want to do a lot of work in that range. I just don't find it to be extremely beneficial. But I do like to do volume work at about 70 to 75%. I find that fun, but potentially not every week. You can do 8x3, 10x3, or something like that. I don't like to do a lot of reps per set because I feel like my form breaks down and puts a lot of stress on my lower back. But a good way to train a deadlift is maybe do a heavy week and then alternate it with a volume week. So you don't want to be doing both at the same time. That's just a solid, fun way to train the deadlift. Lightning 89. Hey, Steve, every time I train sub-maximal for a while, then try to hit anything for 80% plus, it feels too heavy. Any way to negate this? What I did for a very long time, and this is kind of a power building-esque approach, is, look, I'm not bald. I just shaved it. Don't tell anybody. What I did for a long time is I would start with a really heavy set on bench or squats or deadlifts. I'd work up to how I felt that day. A very intuitive type of training. I might do 2 sets of 3 on bench, or 1 set of 5, or whatever, maybe a heavy single. And then I would drop the weight and start doing rep work. So I would work up to, let's say, the most I ever got to on bench using a slingshot was 4 or 5x5. I would then drop down to 365 and do max reps. I would then drop down to 315 and do max reps. I would then drop down to 275 and do max reps. And then I would drop down to 225 and do max reps. So you can do both. You want to start with your heavy set of the day and then drop down and do volume. I think that's a really good way for the average trainee, intermediate trainee to train. Martin, hey, Steve, what do you think about a push-pull split? I like it. It's like a mix of full body and push-pull legs. 4-day split going hamstrings on pull day and quads on push day. Yeah, I mean, that's a similar way to how I program for a lot of individuals. We have the upper-lower program. I tend to program, instead of upper-lower, I tend to do chest, shoulders, back, and arms, chest, shoulders, and arms, And then on the other day, I do legs and back. So I kind of alternate between legs and back and chest, shoulders, and arms. So many ways to do it, but that's absolutely fine. Matthew Hunter, if I'm doing calisthenics and weights in my workout, which should I do first? Always do weights. Always do the thing that's going to be the most physically and mentally that's challenging and technically challenging as well. You do not want to get under a heavy squat when you're fatigued. It's not a good idea. You want to do the biggest exercises when you have the most energy and the most focus and you're at 100% for that given day. Marvin Ferguson, can you build large side delts without overhead pressing? Potentially, if you find a good mix of exercises. If I had to try to build large side delts without forms of overhead pressing, I would have to get very creative. I'd probably have to do volume on some of the exercises I was using because when you can't go heavy, you're going to have to find a way to challenge the side delts. And that's going to have to come with volume, with rest pause work, and with progressive overload on some lifts that aren't overhead pressing. So potentially you can. It's just going to require you to get very creative and work even harder. Mr. Zapparin, I do double progression now for bench. I've been doing it for 2 full days rest between each session. I do no other workout. Is it going to be sustainable in the long run? Absolutely. I mean, it's not anything that's unusual or abusive. It's absolutely sustainable. It's just going to come down to whether you like it or not. And at the end of the day, anything we do, any workout we do is either going to just start to bore us or we're going to try to have, we're going to want a new challenge. Let's say you're building up with double progression. Double progression is a good way to train when you are late intermediate because you get to cycle set intensity and it kind of, gives you a break a little bit naturally. But at the end of the day, progress is going to slow on everything. It doesn't matter what program you're using. The effort, your drive up here and in your heart is what's going to matter, not really the program. Any program is sustainable. What the real question is this sustainable for you? Is your head in the right place? Is your heart, your drive in the right place? If so, then the program's sustainable. Nikki Bird, massive 6th question. Should military presses be standing or sitting? You can do a barbell overhead press standing, seated, in front or behind the neck. It doesn't really matter. Use whatever variation you like. Bennett Adventures, appreciate all the help. Glad to help. Let me get some coffee here. Ultra Wump. I'm in college and wake up pretty early and train at 5:30. I'm never hungry after the workout. Is it okay not to eat until later in the day? Is it okay? Yeah, as long as you're getting in your calories, that's fine. With that said, I think even if you aren't hungry, you should strongly consider tossing back a protein shake or some form of protein. I just think it's a good idea. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do to get the results we want. Like you say, I'm not feeling hungry. Should I eat? Well, not necessarily, but it's you just got done eating or you just got done working out. So you probably need to put something in your system. It's probably a really good idea. So in the long run, can you make optimal gains without doing? Yeah, probably. I mean, just get your calories in, but is it wise to eat a little bit something after you work out? Yes. If you don't want to put something solid in your stomach, just take a protein shake. Let's see here. Flea Market Fitness, seated presses when your ceiling height is low. Yeah, definitely seated presses. I like seated presses. I like to be rooted. You have to have an incline bench that tilts back a little bit. I've always liked seated presses more. That's just personal preference, though. Pejorasta, sorry. I had to read that like 3 times to make sure I wasn't screwing it up. What is your best exercise for upper back and traps? Upper back and traps, deadlifts and power shrugs. Deadlifts and power shrugs, and maybe weighted carries. Absolutely. And for your traps, Don't rule out the importance of a lot of overhead volume. You'll feel that in your traps as well. Tom McGivern, Big Hairy Ugly Dude, can the slingshot help increase your bench in weight? Never used it. I've used a slingshot for almost 12 straight years, and I've increased my bench while using a slingshot. Is the slingshot the mechanism driving my bench? No. What it does, though, is it allows me to get under heavier weight, work with overload, and it allows me to keep my shoulders healthier. So there's a lot of good things about it. So, you know, getting under heavier weight is just going to be better for the central nervous system. So there's a lot of benefits to it. I'm not saying one should use that every workout like I do, but it might not hurt to alternate between a slingshot week and a non-slingshot week. James Douglas Morrison. I love the plate loaded leg press. I use it in conjunction with squats and other leg exercises, but a lot of purists, CrossFit, and powerlifters despise it. I love leg press. And you know what? You know, I don't care what powerlifters or CrossFitters or anybody says. Do what you like to do. Do what you like to do. I think one of the best programs you can do for legs is focus on your quads. Now, in powerlifting, you don't hear about this a lot. You don't hear about quad strength, quad strength, quad strength. Quad strength is very important. Quad strength, quad volume is very important, in my opinion. And I like to get in my volume using leg presses. I like to do 12 to 15 rep sets of leg presses. I just like that type of quad work. So at the end of the day, if you like it, do it. Don't worry about what anybody else is saying. Josmini Artiles. Hey, Steve. I'm actually starting your push-pull legs program. Where do you do legs and back on the same? I wanted to add in power shrugs, but I don't want to interfere my trap recovery from doing my shoulders. Any tips? I would definitely add them in on back day when you're doing deadlift work or heavy rows, because you really don't want them interfering with your ability to deadlift. You want to be more recovered when you deadlift, because that's the big hitter. It might take 3 to 4 weeks for you to have your shoulders acclimate to doing trap work, and then the next day doing shoulders. But it's okay. It's okay if things feel a little bit weak. It'll take some time. You'll adapt to it, but you will come out stronger. So I would just say run with that. And if you decide you want to move trap work to shoulder day and then deadlift with fatigue traps, just make sure your form is locked down. Perseverance. Hey, big hairy ugly dude. When you say most men will never bench press 315 on that particular video, does that same statement apply to a 500-pound deadlift? Yeah. And before I inflame the viewers, I had a video where I said most men never reach a 315-pound bench press, which is simply reality. And that doesn't mean there aren't a lot of us doing it. There's a lot of us doing it. Just most people will never reach 315. And every time I go to the gym, most guys are not even close to 315. They even quit lifting or take breaks. But back to the question, does that apply to a 500-pound deadlift? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's about the same thing. And you have fewer people deadlifting than you do benching. So, but the people that deadlift tend to be pretty serious about lifting. Not that the people that bench aren't, but folks that deadlift, they're generally, in my opinion, at another level. And it's probably more people at that level will be likely to hit a 500-pound bench press, or 500-pound deadlift. Andre, what does double progression mean? Well, it's a multiple progression system. So, and I made a video about this. Check it out. I made a video about it last week. Check out that video. But basically, you do 2 sets by 10, then you move up to 3 sets by 10, then you move up to 4 sets by 10, then you add weight and you drop back down to 2 sets by 10. That's basically how it works. But check out my video last week. It explains everything. Praw. You should do as many exercises standing as you can because you need feet muscle connection. I don't agree with that. We're here to build muscle and strength. I don't worry about feet muscle connection. You get enough of feet muscle connection doing squats and deadlifts, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but don't 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 miss the big picture here. If you're doing a lot of the right exercises, you're pretty much standing the entire time in the gym. So if you want to sit for overhead presses, it's okay. Joshua, standing press, I end up cheating with hip drive. It's okay to use a little bit of cheat or a little bit of power because at the end of the day, regardless of the variation you use, if you are getting it stronger, you're going to build muscle. So don't worry. Don't worry about that. Just stick with what you like. James Douglas Morrison, what do you think about the Jefferson deadlift and the barbell hack squat? I hate them. I hate them. Personally, I hate them. Never feel good. When I try to do the barbell hack squat, barbell hack deadlift, it just feels awful to me. I like my body type just ain't built for it. And the Jefferson deadlift, I don't like that. I don't like that rotation you get, the extra pressure on the knee. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? No. Your body type might feel better. If you want to mess around with those lifts, go ahead. Just not two of my favorite. None that I will ever program. None that I will ever recommend. But just like high rack pulls, if you like to do them, do them. It's just barbell training. Have fun with it. Matthew Hunter, what would you say pound for pound strength is more impressive than the actual weight lifted? For example, a 150-pound guy who benches 350 opposed to a 300-pound guy that bench presses 405. You know, it's a sliding scale, but honestly, what impresses me the most is somebody that just works out hard enough. Honestly, you know, I've my daughter, when she was 104 pounds, got her deadlift up to 275. That's impressive as heck. And she competed on the same platform at the same lifts with the Lilla Bridgets, who were squatting, you know, over 900 pounds. Both of those lifters were impressive. And I'm not blowing off your question, but to me, impressive isn't, you know, weight. Impressive has nothing to do with weight. Impressive is an attitude. And you know, we live in a shitty era where anybody can go on the internet and say whatever they want to say and just be complete dicks and assholes to everybody. And in that era, what impresses me is just good people. Just decent, good people that believe in hard work and treating each other with kindness. That's what impresses me. All the other stuff I don't really care about. It's just lifting. Roman, how to get stronger when stalled in the mid 500s. At that point, you really need to dig in, and you really need the experience. You really need the advice of an experienced deadlifter that can kind of give you some tips to try some things that you've never tried. So it's a very hard question to answer in a video, in this type of live video, but it's something that would probably be a good topic for an individual. Tom McGivern says, is infinite Elgin intensity here? Probably not. Elgin stays busy. Elgin is a busy man, so I'm just honored that he popped in. Joshua, what about higher volume leg work, like 100 rep lunges? I do that. I've done that many times for finishers. I like 100 rep body weight lunges as finishers or 50 reps. I've trained some people back when I was doing powerlifting, and we would do a 100 rep body weight lunge as a finisher, so I don't mind that at all. Tyrone, big hairy ugly dude, what's up? How can you get cannonball delts? Well, first off, you need to do 2 lifts each week, 2 overhead press variations each week, and do them for volume, 8 to 12 rep sets per, probably 3 to 4 sets each. Maybe up to 5. So you got to get in a good volume of overhead pressing. Seated, standing, dumbbell, barbell, I don't care. Do 2 variations each week. Get in your volume, 6 to 8 sets per week of 8 to 12 reps. That is your foundation. And get them crazy strong. Crazy strong. That's your foundation. Alexander, do you know any research about the effects of heat on muscle growth after training? I don't offhand, no. I mean, I recall having edited articles on, you know, things like this on recovery and hot and cold showers and stuff like that, but I don't recall the specific studies off the top of my head. No. I will say that for a very long time, after my workout was done, I would take a long hot bath because I felt that that helped with fascia stiffness, which is really the crux of the issue. When we're working out hard, our fascia tends to get very stiff. I believe it has 9 times more greater density of sensory neurons than muscle tissue, so that's generally what gets stiff. So I don't really think it's going to improve muscle protein synthesis or muscle recovery. I think what we really need to focus on when it comes to recovery is fascia recovery more than muscle recovery, if that makes sense. Big hairy ugly dude. Ideas on bringing up a body part. Is having a focus something you've ever had success with? Tom, my philosophy is and has always been to treat every muscle group in the body as a weakness. It's one of my core philosophies, something I taught at my power building seminar last week. I treat every muscle group as if it was a weakness. Therefore, you don't have to worry about your weaknesses if you're taking that approach. So if you truly have a weakness, once you get your numbers up a lot, can you improve it? You could probably improve it. I would probably do a 8-week program, 6-week program where you're training it twice a week with a lot of volume and just push it. Just push it and see what you can do. A lot of times, though, the shape or the size might just be genetic. There are lifters I know that can bench as much as me that don't have triceps that look like mine, and they work the living heck out of them. So a lot of it can just be natural. Wayne, hey Steve, do you believe in hot and cold baths as a recuperative therapy? Do I believe there's value in it? Yeah, I've seen some. I've seen the information on it. It seems to be valuable. Would I do it? Nah, I don't want to get in a cold shower. Forget that. That sounds crazy. I'm from Wisconsin. I have enough time in the cold weather, so I would just research it and see if it has value for you. Can push-ups replace bench press? No. Nothing can replace a big compound movement. That doesn't mean that they can't be valuable. That doesn't mean you can't do a lot with a push-up, but a push-up cannot replace a bench press. Never. Roman, does my back round on deadlifts because I have weak legs? It all depends on if you're talking about your lower or upper back. It's okay for upper back rounding on deadlifts. If your lower back is rounding, that's a form issue. That's a discipline issue, and you need somebody like me to look at your deadlift and tell you what to fix, because lower back rounding is typically a form issue, and I can fix that. Drinking beer says, barbell overhead press, best exercise for increasing shoulder strength. I like a combination of barbell and dumbbell, to be honest with you. I really do. I just find value in doing them both. They're similar exercises, but they feel different. I like doing them both. Michael Cervantes. I squat 2 times a week, usually around the 5x5. I'd like to see more leg development. I should be doing higher volume, such as 8x8. Sometimes, Michael, and I've talked about this many times, we need more than squats. I know people that squat that don't have great leg development. It's just the way they're built. They might be more hip dominant or glute dominant or hamstring dominant or all that kind of stuff. So you might have to do other things like front squats or leg presses or other trickeration. Excuse me. All this talking, getting a frog in my throat. Guys, I'm almost done here. I got about 7 more minutes. So if you have a question, post it up. I'm going to try to ram through what we got here. If I miss your question, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman and send me a DM. Marvin, regarding the fascia, what do you do to target debilitating and stiffening muscle soreness? That's not what you're feeling is muscle soreness, in my opinion. What you're feeling is fascia soreness. If it's debilitating, you really got to take a look at your program, because debilitating soreness or stiffness is generally fascia related, and it's natural to have some soreness. Debilitating means you can't really move, and that's unusual. So I'd like to look at the program. You can send it to me on Instagram. Flesh Feast. Beginner linear progression always seems to mention how young people have great recovery. I'm 40 though. As I plateau and fail reps, I wonder how much my age is impacting things. Any considerations? Absolutely. I mean, we have to be very cognizant of our age and how we program things. And I mean, really, it comes down to the head and the heart of the lifter, and what kind of health that lifter, what kind of state that lifter's body is in. It's a hard question. You know, it's hard to give out generic program advice until you meet with somebody face to face, because I know 40, 50-year-old men that have no mental strength. None at all. They can't stick to a damn workout. They can't. They're always making excuses as to why they can't stick to a program. And it drives you mad. You just want to say, shut up and just do the damn program. Just stop your bitching and do the damn program. And then you have other people that go in, you give them a program, they do it just like a machine, and they get results. So at the end of the day, it's really hard to talk about specific programming and recovery for men over 40. But I will say that when it comes to programming in general, always consider programming a starting point, and then you adjust your workout based on how that feels. And don't be afraid to adjust based on how the workout feels for you. That is the key to long-term success in lifting. Alexander, do you progress on calf work as with any other muscle group volume? Calf work, I believe it is valuable. Most people don't attack their calves to get them as strong as possible, right? We all know that. How many people have you ever met that have posted on social media saying, I hit a calf PR, I'm psyched? No one talks about their calf strength, but yet people want to bring up their calves. So 2 ways to do that is to find an exercise each week where you attack for progressive overload in probably the 12 to 15 rep range, and then one where you also do volume. That's a very good combination. Roman, you're a good man. Love these Q&As. Thank you, Ro. I appreciate the support. Thank you, Tom. Wayne Darrell, hey, Steve, I have an Achilles tendon problem, a partial torn one, and I have problems walking out squats. What do you think of buying a monolift as a solution? If you have an Achilles tendon tear, have you been to a doctor? I mean, obvious question, but have you been a doctor to get it fixed? If you can't walk out squats, yeah. I mean, a monolift is a good thing, but, you know, seriously, man, you need to get to a doctor and get that fixed, because that's, you know, you don't want to be under a heavy squat and have it tear more. I'm no doctor. Wayne, what do you think of downsizing for overall health? Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to take care of your body, and carrying around the extra weight is not just, you know, it's good. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your joints. It's not good for things like osteoarthritis and diabetes and all that kind of good stuff. You want to get rid of that. Sorry, I think we just froze up right at the end of the video. Yeah, calf PR, right. Perseverance, is the forearms the calves of the upper body? You know, not so much, because I've never seen a lifter that has worked hard to get stronger have small forearms. So, you know, you don't have to work the forearms really to get them big. They're unlike the calves. They generally respond and respect hard work. So great chatting with you. Thanks, Wayne. Matthew, last question, and I'm off. What would you say is the most undertrained muscle group that people don't train enough? That's a very good question. I would say most people train their shoulders for crap. They just do. I mean, we make fun of leg day, but, you know, I think most people train their shoulders for crap. It's very rare to see somebody get a 135 overhead press in any form, a barbell overhead press for 10 reps. It's just rare, and that should not be. You should be able to get 185 for 10. You should. Most men should be able to get 185 for 10. So that is it. All right, guys, I'm going to head off. I'm here every Saturday at 10 a.m. I appreciate your support. If you have a question that I missed, head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman. Send me a DM. If you need assistance with form, diet, workout, or you need a good workout, check out my books at superlivingtoday.com. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.